the University of Michigan. Home of Wolverine football, gourmet markets, film societies, scholarly priorities, ethnic cuisine, and late-night caffeine. And for students looking for an alternative to dorm life, home of greedy landlords, overpriced apartments, student slums. Home of housing for profits, not for people.
I lived in an apartment last year, and the landlady would come in unannounced, and it was really annoying. And she never took care of the things immediately, like our disposal would break, and it was just kind of like not a very comfortable situation.
I lived in this apartment with this really evil old woman and this other woman who wouldn't speak to me, and it was just a really strange housing experience and alienating.
I'll file a lawsuit against the manager because they charge too much about security deposit.
Had huge cockroaches.
Who hasn't had bad housing? I mean, since living with your parents.
We got some more carpets we can lay out.
Wouldn't it be nice to get a group of students together and own your own home? With no landlord, you could take complete control of the upkeep and management of where you live. Costs could be kept down by buying collectively, and by working together, the maintenance and operation of your home could be accomplished a lot easier than if you were on your own.
You do it like this.
Could you possibly be interested in living cooperatively? Welcome to the Inter Cooperative Council, where students own and operate their own home. Currently, over 550 students live in the Inter Cooperative Council, or the ICC, in 17 different houses ranging from 13 people to 190, the average size being about 30.
We own it.
We own it.
We own it.
Founded on the ideals of democracy, one member equals one vote, user control, those who live in a house own and operate the house, non-discriminatory open membership, and cooperation, working together to benefit collectively, the first student housing co-op in Ann Arbor, Michigan's Socialist House, was started in 1932 during the Depression. By living cooperatively, the first Mish House members cut their room and board costs down to $2 a week, making college affordable to some who were facing some very hard times. The ICC was created in 1937 to serve as a coordinating body for the existing student cooperatives, and in 1944 was incorporated as a non-profit organization. Through the years, the makeup of the ICC's membership has changed some, but the ideals that founded the first co-op in the early 1930s remain the same. Though the ICC has grown from a few rented properties to an organization owning 17 houses worth over $8 million, students still join the ICC out of an interest in low-cost housing, user control, and a cooperative community.
I moved in firstly because I thought it was, it was a smaller atmosphere from, like moving from the dorms to the ICC was a really nice change, much closer. It was much more personal.
Everybody pitches in for the work, so you have less housework to do.
I figured if I lived in a vegetarian house like Black Elk, that way I'd be pretty much assured of finding cool people.
It's economical and, it's one of the best alternatives.
I went to a few parties and I thought it'd be a fun place to live.
Fix food and learn to live as a community.
Really, I was looking for something different, and I didn't want to be excluded in an apartment where you're only with one or two other people and you don't meet as many people or see as many people.
I was transferring from Central, and I didn't really know anyone in town, and apartments by yourself can be really expensive.
I thought I'd meet really cool people, which I did.
North Campus Co-op is just the right size for me. It's big enough so that you can find friends, but if you want to keep your distance from people, there's always a place you can hide.
I needed cheap housing that was dependable, and I also liked the idea that you could participate, and I thought that was very cool.
I thought it would be neat to live with a bunch of people.
When deciding to live in a house of the ICC, one does not become a mere resident of a house, but rather a member of the house, fully eligible for all the rewards of home ownership and cooperative living and the responsibility that goes along with it.
Games co-opers play.
Give Japanese paying attention.
Yeah! Whoa!
Brilliant.
House members attend and participate in House meetings where all household decisions are made, such as what kind of food to order, what newspapers to subscribe to, whether or not to buy new phones, and when to have the next party.
Yeah, I like wasting your time like that.
Thanks. Each House member is required to do a certain amount of House labor hours each week, as determined by each House. We don't hire people to prepare our dinner, or vacuum our carpets, or even clean our bathrooms. We do it ourselves.
We own it!
We own it.
We own it. We own it.
The student housing co-ops in the ICC aren't just houses, they're our homes. They're cooperative communities. Members of the ICC live together, eat together, work together, and often play together. When signing a co-management contract to live in a house of the ICC, each member buys shares in the organization, money which is returned when the member moves out of the ICC. Each member is not only vested with house responsibilities, but corporate responsibilities as well. All major decisions of the ICC, such as whether or not to buy a new house, are voted on through a membership referendum, each member having one vote. The day-to-day business of the organization is handled by the Board of Directors, which is made up of the elected presidents from each house and the Coordinating Committee. The Coordinating Committee, which serves as a steering committee for the board, consists of the ICC-wide president, who's elected each spring, and the chairs of the various ICC committees needed for the operation of the organization.
And just I pulled out of the box a lot of stuff that Jim regularly receives information as to when the meetings are.
We also employ a full-time staff to implement member decisions and initiatives and to run the office.
Well, it wouldn't be, we could leave 10 minutes. It'd be the first time.
Cooperative living is a unique living situation based not on greed and profits, but on empowerment, community, and collective utility. Housemates aren't just people living in the same house, but people that must form a relationship based on mutual respect, tolerance, and responsibility. It's up to everyone to make sure that the house runs well and is a rewarding living experience, because, as you know,
We own it!
We own it.
Vegetarian pointers. I eat in their trail mix. I once had a pterodactyl. Like a sparrow trying to feed.